Hello friends, in this lecture we'll discuss about some of the controllers or control actions which is part of our unit number 6. Uh, as we have seen the generalized block diagram, uh, if you just try to recollect, we had a reference input, we had one summing point, and at the summing point the reference input is compared with the feedback value, and whatever is the error signal, that error signal is fed to the controllers. Now controllers generate actuating signal, and these actuating signals ultimately act on the process or the system to control the desired parameter. So the role of controllers is very important. The controller is an element which accepts the error in some form and decides the proper corrective action. The output of the controller is then applied to the process or final control element. This brings output back to its desired set point value. The correction takes place and the desired control variable is maintained, or desired value of control variable is maintained. Let it be pressure, let it be temperature, let it be flow, let it be force, let it be displacement, let it be velocity, whatever is the parameter that is to be controlled. The controller take appropriate control actions so that the desired output is maintained. The controller is the heart of a control system. The accuracy of the entire system depends on how sensitive is the controller to the error detected and how it is manipulating such an error. So the controller has to be sensitive. In a sense, it should be able to detect smallest of the errors, and it should be able to generate a manipulated, it should be able to generate an output which is also called as a manipulated variable uh, that will be acting on the actuators, and ultimately the system parameters are controlled. If you just see the block diagram, this is my reference input. Now RT, as I repeatedly told you, reference input is a function of time. B is the feedback signal or a feedback signal, that is also function of time. Now here the comparison takes place at the summing point, or it is also called as error detector. The reference value, just try to recollect the case of a furnace temperature control system. I have set the temperature for 1000 degrees Celsius, and corresponding to 1000 degrees Celsius, right now the temperature is 900 degrees Celsius. Accordingly, that temperature signal will be converted into equivalent electrical signal. Let us say 100 degrees corresponds to 1 volt. Like that, when I set this controller for temperature controller for 1000 degrees, it will be set for 10 volts. 10 volts corresponds to 1000 degrees. 900 volts corresponds to, sorry, 900 degrees Celsius corresponds to 9 volt. So 10 volts will be compared with 9 volts. The error of 1 volt. Here the comparison takes place, or error detection takes place. 10 minus 9, 1 volt equivalent signal, error signal is generated, and that goes to the controller, and the controller will accordingly generate the controller output, which is designated by P. P is the controller output, which will then give a signal to the actuator. Now in the furnace control case, maybe it is the electrical heater. The electrical heater input is changed in accordance with the error in the temperature value, and then the heater will be put on for that much period of time till my temperature sensor, or maybe a thermistor, RTD, or thermocouple, whatever is my temperature sensor, will sense that signal and feed it back to the comparator. And when this process is repeated till the 1000 degrees Celsius or the set point value is achieved, or till the error becomes zero. So this is how the basic control systems or the control action takes place. The controller is an element which accepts the error in some form and decides the proper corrective action. The output of the controller is then applied to the process or final control, where the control is hard. And this is already discussed. We'll move further. Classification of controllers. There are different types of controllers or different types of control actions. There are two basic modes, friends. First is discontinuous control mode. Second is continuous control mode. Now, discontinuous with respect to what? Discontinuous with respect to time. Okay. I put the light switch on and off whenever I require it. It is not continuously on or continuously off. Whenever it is required, I am putting it on. So it's a discontinuous control mode, isn't it? Or it is also called as discrete control mode. Discretely it is operated. Whereas in continuous control mode, like in the case of a process industry or sugarcane processing industry or chemical process industry, pharmaceutical industry, or metallurgical steel making industry, where the continuous processes are going on, and on continuous basis, the system parameters are monitored and controlled. There I require continuous control action. And in many cases, maybe like in the case of an iron, you're using an iron, there the on-off control action is sufficient. That controller should not keep on working throughout 24 hours. As and when it is required, it should be operated, isn't it? So these are the two basic classifications: discontinuous control mode and continuous control mode. Now in discontinuous control mode, as I repeatedly told you, discontinuous with respect to time, continuous with respect to time. So in discontinuous control mode, I have got on-off controller or two position controller. The simplest case of on-off controller is switch, that is either on. Only two states are possible, either on or off. So it is also called as two position controller. And in continuous control mode, I have P corresponds to proportional control action, I corresponds to integral control action, and D corresponds to derivative control action. What are these? We'll see in details in the coming part of the lecture. So these are called as continuous control mode, where the error is continuously monitored and the error is continuously processed by the processor or by the controller, and the controller continuously generates the controller output either in a proportional mode or in an integral mode or in a derivative mode. So these are called as continuous control modes, independent continuous control modes. Now in continuous control mode, we have got one more classification also. These are called as combination controllers. So what is there? Proportional plus integral, that is also called as P plus I. Proportional plus derivative, that is called as P plus D. And proportional plus integral plus derivative control actions, or PID controllers. So these are invariably used in many of the critical control actions because they give me the best performance as per my control system requirements. So these are the most preferred one, but we are going to study all the control actions. First, we'll be studying on-off control action, then we'll study proportional, integral, derivative, all alone, standalone, and then combination, proportional plus integral, proportional plus derivative, proportional plus integral plus derivative control actions or controllers. Let us see the first case, on-off controllers. Why they are preferred? They are simple to operate, only two position control. They are very cheap. So cost-wise also it is cost-effective, used in residential heating and domestic refrigerators. The temperature on-off, the refrigerator is put on and put off. The thermostat that is used is working on on-off principle. Limited use in process control industries due to continuous cycling of control variables, excessive wear of control valves. So in continuous process industries, these on-off controllers are not used. So what is this on-off controller? Synonym is, similar word is for on-off controller, two position, or in crude words, it is also called as bang controllers. That means when it is put on, tuck, bang will be there, and when it is put on, bang. So when the refrigerator, you must have observed, when it is put on, you have a bang, and when it is put off, it also gives bang. So there is, these are the colloquial terminologies for on-off control actions. See, be attentive here now. Now P corresponds to controlled output or the controller output, which is function of time. The controller tends to give me maximum output if error is greater than 0. And the controller tends to give me minimum output if the error is less than 0. Right? So this is the ideal case of an on-off controller. See, this is on x-axis I have got error, and on y-axis I have got controller output. Let us take the case of maybe same furnace heater. Okay, when I have set that furnace heater for, let us say, 1000 degrees Celsius, right? So at 1000 degrees Celsius, error will be 0. And if the temperature is right now, temperature is 900 degrees Celsius, how much is the error? 1000 minus 900. So 100 degrees Celsius is the error, that is plus error. So this error will be positive error, right? 100 degrees Celsius is the error. So this is the positive side of the error, this is the negative side of the error, right? And if the temperature inside the furnace is 1100 degrees Celsius, 1000 minus 1100 will be minus 100. So this is the left hand side of this error axis, isn't it? So what this two position controller logic says mathematically, Px is the on, P maximum is the on value and P minimum is the off value. This is also called as on value. This is called as off value. So only two positions are there, totally on or totally off, right? So at zero error, that means when the desired temperature, we are just taking the example of furnace. Desired temperature is 1000, actual temperature is 1000. So error is 0. So at the error is 0, the controller output will not be there. And as the error becomes positive, means let us say the error becomes 100 degrees or maybe 10 volts, whatever is the positive error, the heater will be put on, the controller will put the heater on, full maximum, right? And when the temperature falls below 1000 degrees Celsius, the error becomes less than 0. As the error becomes greater than 0, it is put on. When the error becomes less than 0, when the temperature becomes less than, more than 1000 degrees Celsius, maybe 1100 degrees Celsius or 1110 degrees Celsius, whatever it is, it will give me negative error minus 10. The controller will put the heater off. So heater on, heater off, or system on, system off, controller on, controller off. So only these two positions are obtained. Now this is called as ideal on-off controller. Controller output has only two possible values, either fully on or fully off. There will not be any controller output proportional to error change. If the error is more, the controller output will be more, and if the error is less, the controller output is less. No, in on-off controller, such thing does not happen. In on-off controller, either fully on, either 100% on or 100% off. That's what happens in refrigerators also. If it is set for, let us say, plus 10 degrees Celsius, if the temperature becomes 11 degrees Celsius, what happens? It is put on, the compressor will be put on. And when the temperature falls below 10 degrees Celsius, maybe 9 degrees Celsius, the compressor will be put on, the refrigerator will be off. So it is also two position controller. So, but this is the ideal case because there will be more erosion and more wear and tear of the contactors of this thermostat particularly. Why? Because if you are talking about refrigerators, it is not the case that it will be continuously closed, locked. Frequently for taking out something, I'll be just opening the door, closing the door. So frequent opening and closing of the door brings about changes in the values of temperature inside the evaporator. So if it is strictly operating on 10 degrees Celsius, it will be frequently put on and put off, isn't it? So which is not desirable. So we go in for a practical case of an on-off controller. What is done is little margin is provided on the error axis on both the side, positive side and negative side. Means if I'm talking about refrigerator, when it is switching at 10 degrees Celsius, instead of switching on at 10 degrees Celsius, we wait for some more increase in temperature. Instead of exactly switching on at 10 degrees Celsius, what is done is it is switched on after 2 degrees, after 12 degrees Celsius. So this line, it will be put on at 12 degrees Celsius. And similarly on the negative side, that means off side, it will not be exactly put off at 10 degrees Celsius. It will be put off at 8 degrees Celsius. So I'll have sort of a box, right? So that will be the practical case of on-off controller. We'll see that practical case that is called as dead band. So earlier it was switching on and off only at zero error value. But what I discussed just now, instead of switching at zero error value, if it is set for 10 degrees Celsius, I'll be switching it on at 10 plus 12, 10 plus 2. So delta is plus 2 and minus delta is minus 2. So it will be switched on, it will be put on at, instead of 10 degrees Celsius, it will be put on at 12 degrees Celsius. So it will be full on. And then it will not be put off exactly at 10, but it will be allowed to, the temperature will be allowed to fall up to 8 degrees Celsius. And then it will be allowed to put off. Then it becomes off. So whatever this plus 2 degree and minus 2 degree, this is called as plus 2 degree plus and minus 2 degree. So 4 degree or 4 units error zone is called as the dead band, because nothing is happening in between, isn't it? In this zone of 2 delta, nothing is happening. So this is called as dead zone or dead band. And then I have got on value and off value, right? So the controller output mathematically, it gives me on or P max for E greater than plus delta. Instead of earlier case, ideal case, E was greater than 0. Instead of E greater than 0, it will be switching on at E greater than delta value. And it will be switched off P minimum for E less than minus delta value. Right? This is how mathematically we represent a practical on-off controller. Let us see the continuous control mode now, proportional control mode. In this, the output of the controller is proportional to error E. E is a function of T. The relation between error E and the controller output P is determined by the constant called proportional gain constant, denoted as K suffix P, Kp. The output of the controller is a linear function of error. So controller output is proportional to error. More the error, more the controller output. Less the error, less the output. This is called as proportional controller. The range of the error, which covers 0 to 100% controller output, is called as proportional band. Though there exists linear relation between controller output and the error, the controller output should not be 0. Otherwise, the process will come to a halt. Yeah, so there should be, even at 0 error, there should be some output from the controller. Getting the point? If the error becomes 0, the controller should not put off the system completely, isn't it? Have you understood this point? If the furnace controller, the set value is 1000 degrees Celsius, the heater was put on and it has attained 1000 degrees Celsius. So the sensed value will be 1000. So set value is 1000, actual value is 1000, so error is 0. So if the controller stops giving output, what will happen? The heater will be put off and the temperature will start dropping. That 1000 degrees Celsius should be maintained, isn't it? So at 0 error also, it should give me some, controller should give me some output. Hence, there exists some controller output P0 or P0 for the 0 error. Hence, mathematically, this is very important. Hence, mathematically, proportional control mode is expressed as controller output Pt is equal to Kp into Et plus P0. So Kp is proportionality constant. E is error, which is function of time. P is controller output, which is also function of time, and plus P0 is controller output at 0 error. So this is the equation for proportional controller. Kp is proportional gain constant and P0 is controller output with 0 error. Let us quickly see the characteristics. The error can be positive or negative because RB can be less or greater than reference set point. The control variable, that is input to the controller, increases, causing increase the controller. The action is called as direct action. If with increase in error, if the controller output is increasing, it is called as direct action. And let's see. This equation we already seen. direct control action, and if the control variable decreases, causing increase in the controller output, or increase in the control variable causing decrease in the control output, the action is called as reverse action. So the proportional action can be direct action. So with increase in error, controller output is also increasing, and the reverse proportional action, that is with increase in error, the controller output is decreasing. That is called as reverse proportional control action. And with decrease in error, controller output is increasing. That is called as reverse proportional control action. If error is negative, then Kp Et gets subtracted from P0, and if Et is positive, then Kp into Et gets added to P0. This is the reverse action. Right? This is the mathematical expression. Now the characteristics we should know. When the error is 0, the controller output is constant equal to P0. If the error occurs, then for every 1% error, the correction of Kp percentage is achieved. If the error is positive, Kp percent correction gets added to P0. If error is negative, Kp percent correction gets subtracted from P0. This will be very clear from the equation. The band of error exists for which output of the controller is between 0 to 100% without saturation. Let us quickly see typicalities. One important characteristic of proportional control action is offset. Now this is a major disadvantage. Now before getting into verbal description, I'll try to give you one example. Take the same furnace control case. Suppose that I have got a proportional controller used in this furnace control system, and let us say it is set for 1000 degrees Celsius. The controller will be giving me the output proportional to error. Okay. Now this proportional controller which is used in this furnace is designed based on the assumption that the system will be properly insulated, doors will be closed continuously. Suppose the set point is, as I said, is 1000 degrees Celsius. When the temperature drops, automatically the proportional controller will generate the control action proportional to the error. And when the temperature increases, accordingly, proportionately, the proportional controller will generate the control action. And it will be switching around the set point of 1000 degrees Celsius. Now, if by mistake the worker has forgotten to close the door of that heat treatment furnace, what will happen? The door is open, is kept open, left open. The heat that is there inside the furnace is leaking out of the door, isn't it? And the controller is on. Now, what is this called as? This is called as sudden load change. Means what? When the door is kept open, the heat is leaked out, and the load on the furnace has suddenly increased, isn't it? It has to heat not only the contents within the furnace, but the outside air also. So there is sudden load change. So because of this load change, the proportional controller, what it tends to do, it tends to overcorrect itself. म्हणजे काय करणार ते 1000 डिग्री सेल्सियसला ते स्विचिंग ऑन ऑफ होत होतं, सॉरी स्विचिंग प्रोपोर्शनल कंट्रोल ऍक्शन होत होती. मग ते डोर ओपन झाल्यामुळे काय झालं, त्यावरचा लोड वाढला. मग इन्स्टेड ऑफ स्विचिंग on the set point of 1000 degrees Celsius, it will start switching on the set point of 1200 degrees Celsius. This is overcorrection on the part of proportional controller. Which set point change ala. So this set point change to the tune of 200 degrees Celsius is called as offset. आणि मग कसं झालं, माझी जे desired control action आहे, the temperature inside the furnace should be maintained at 1000 degrees Celsius, will not be achieved. This is the drawback of this proportional control action. It tends to overcorrect itself because of the load changes. Similar is the case. Suppose the room is air conditioned. Room has an air conditioner, and let us say it has got a proportional control action. And this proportional action air conditioner is designed based on the assumption that insulation is properly maintained, the windows are closed, door is constantly closed. But if suddenly, and there are 20 students inside the class, suppose at once 60 students enter into the class in the air conditioned classroom. What has happened? Corresponding to 60 students, the cooling load will increase suddenly, and the door is kept open. And suppose somebody has brought one heater also inside the room. What has happened? The cooling load has suddenly increased. Now, this proportional control, what it tends to do, it was switching at, let us say, 16 degrees Celsius earlier for this ideal design conditions. And because of this load changes, what it tends to do, instead of switching at 16 degrees Celsius, it will start switching at 20 degrees Celsius or maybe at 14 degrees Celsius. So this shift in set point value is called as offset value. This is the major drawback of proportional control action. So the major disadvantage of proportional control mode is that it produces an offset error in the output. When the load changes, the output deviates from the set point. Such a deviation is called offset error or steady state error. The offset error depends on the reaction rate of the controller. Slow reaction rate produces small offset error, while fast reaction rate produces large offset error. Right? Set point. This change in the set point is called as offset error. Applications: manual reset of the operating point is possible. Load changes are, when the load changes are small, proportional controllers are preferred. This you already seen. Applications, load changes are small. When the dead time exists in the system is small. When the dead time exists in the system is small, proportional controllers are preferred. Now let us go to the integral control mode. As the name indicates, the controller output will be proportional to integration of error signal. Now what does this mean? Integration of error signal. In this controller, the value of the controller output is changed at a rate which is proportional to the actuating signal ET. Mathematically, it is expressed as C. If I just integrate on both the sides, what will happen? This dpt by dt will become pt. And on the right hand side, what will be there? Integral ki et or ki integral et. Ki integral et. Now, what is the meaning of this integral et? Integration is nothing but summation, bringing together. Integration is bringing together. So what, in simple words, what it does? The proportional controller was sensing the actual error at that moment, and accordingly it was generating the control signal. Now, integral controller, what it does is it reads the error for some duration of time. 10 seconds prior to this moment, 20 seconds back, 30 seconds back. So error was even after 10 seconds back was this much. At 20 seconds back, error was this much. 30 seconds back, this much. So at least 5 to 10 values of errors at various time zones. Those are read and those are added together. So that is, and it gives out it generates the controller output by integration of error signals at different time zones, right? So the controller output is integral of error signal, summation of error signals at various times. So only thing is that what will be the effect then? The controller output will be bit sluggish because it is not giving me the output instantaneously. But what is happening is it's going back, it is taking some time, and then it is integrating all the values of errors, and then it is generating the output. So the response is sluggish, but it is better than the proportional controller. Ki is the constant relating to error and integral rate constant. Integrating the above equation, actual control output at any time t can be obtained as C. That's what I was telling. Integrating both the sides, I get P, or P is function of t, is equal to Ki integral e dt plus P naught. P naught is controller output when integral action starts, that is at time t is equal to 0. Right? This is P naught. This is regarding integral control action. Right? Okay. So these are the graphs of integral mode. So over a period of time, as the error decreases, accordingly the controller output increases, right? Integrating this error, it is generating the control action. So the response is a bit sluggish. It takes a lot of time to get to the desired output, right? Step response of the integral mode. When I am giving a step response, it gives me a straight line response. And we see that when the error is positive, the output PT ramps up. For zero error, there is no change in the output. So zero error, there is no change in the output. And when the error is negative, the output ramps down. Output ramps down. This is a positive error. Output ramps up. For negative error, output ramps down. Characteristic of integral mode: if error is zero, the output remains at a fixed value equal to what it was, and the error becomes zero. If the error is not zero, then the output begins to increase or decrease at a rate ki% per second for every positive or negative 1% of error. So these are the few characteristics. The inverse of ki is called as integral time. The inverse of ki is called integral time ti. So ti, integral time ti is equal to 1 upon ki. So integral time ti is equal to 1 upon ki. These are few of the characteristics of integral control mode. Next is, so we have seen proportional control mode, we have seen integral control mode. Quickly we'll see derivative control mode. All these are standalone control modes. The equation for derivative control action is Pt is equal to Kd into dE by dt. So what is happening in derivative control mode? The output, the controller, derivative controller tends to generate the output proportional to rate of change of error. What do you mean by this rate of change of error? कुठल्या रेटनी error change होत होती. What it is doing? Error at this instant is 2 units, right? So error at this instant is 2 units. Maybe after 2 seconds the error has become 4 units. After 6 seconds the error has become 8 units. So change in error delta E divided by change in time will give me rate of change of error. And depending on rate of change of error, if the rate of change of error is more, positive rate of change of error is there, the controller will tend to give me maximum output. And when there is negative rate of change of error is there, it will suddenly reduce the controller output. So it gives me abrupt controller output either on the positive side or on the negative side. So this control action is generating the controller output proportional to rate of change of error. And what is Kd? Kd is derivative constant. But there is a big problem with derivative control mode. If the error is constant or if the error is zero, if the error is constant, let us say 2 units is the error. If the error is constant, so differentiation of a constant is zero, isn't it? If the differentiation is, if the differential value of error is constantly changing, it will be generating some output. If the error is zero, or if the error is constant even, the error is 2 units constant for the last half an hour, what is the tendency of the derivative controller? It tends to give me zero output because d by dt of a constant value is zero. So derivative control action cannot be used alone. It has to be used in conjunction with proportional or proportional plus integral. You can have proportional controller standing alone. You can have integral controller standing alone, but you cannot have derivative controller standing alone because of this drawback. As for constant error or zero error, the controller tends to give zero output. Therefore, it is used in combination with proportional and integral control actions. So this is the typicality of derivative control mode. Then we have the combination modes. Quickly we'll see proportional plus integral mode. This is the composite. This is also called as composite control mode, obtained by combining the proportional mode and the integral mode. The mathematical expression for such a control is C. Pt is Kp into Et. This is proportional action plus Kp into Ki into integral from 0 to t of Et dt. This is integral control action plus P at 0. So this is the equation of P plus I type of control mode. Right? P0 is initial value of the output at t is equal to 0. The important advantage of this control P plus I control mode is that one-to-one correspondence of proportional mode is available. So both the benefits of proportional control action and integral control actions are combined. While the offset error, that was a problem with only proportional controller alone, that is also eliminated due to integral mode. So integral part of such composite control provides a reset of zero error output after a load change occurs. Okay. This is the explanation for offset error elimination. Characteristics of PI mode: when the error is zero, controller output is fixed at the value that the control mode had when the error went to zero. This is nothing but P0. When the error is not zero, proportional mode adds the corrective action. The integral mode starts increasing or decreasing from its initial value depending upon the reverse or direct action. Read this carefully, you'll understand what is meant by these characteristics. It improves the steady state efficiency. It increases the rise time, so response becomes slow. These are the few characteristics. It decreases the bandwidth of the system. It filters out the high frequency noise. It makes the response oscillatory. So these are the applications of PI mode, PI controller. PI mode complete removes the offset problems of proportional mode. Such a mode can be used in the systems with the frequent or large load changes, but the process must have relatively slow changes in the load to prevent the oscillations. Next is proportional plus derivative control mode. So it's a series combination of P and D. So P action plus D action. Proportional controller plus derivative controller. So you can see the details, the characteristics. It improves the damping, reduces overshoot, reduces rise time, makes response faster. P plus D can provide a faster response. It makes this response stable, very fast. It improves the bandwidth of the system. Cannot eliminate offset error. This offset error problem remains in P plus D control action. It may make noise dominant at high frequencies. So some of the disadvantages also there. Not very effective for lightly damped systems. May require relatively large capacitor while the circuit implementation. Applications: it cannot eliminate offset error of proportional mode, but it can be used to handle fast process load changes. For fast process load changes, offset error is tolerable. It is used in many industrial process control systems. Okay, and finally, we will see the three-mode controller or PID controller. We will go a bit faster mathematically. So P action, I action, and D action. You have to remember this equation. And P at 0. Let us quickly see the characteristics. It gives me the best response. So PID is the preferred controller. PID control, there is no offset and system achieves the steady state with less settling time. Therefore, PID is the ultimate process composite controller, the most preferred one. Friends, this completes our control actions. Later on, when your exams are over, we'll try to discuss more details and we'll study what are different types of inputs, and corresponding to these inputs, how the controller will be responding, how the proportional controller will respond to step input, how the integral controller will respond to step input, how the derivative controller will respond to step input. For pulsed or impulse input, how PID controllers would respond. For ramp input, how PID control actions would respond. How for sinusoidal output input, how the PID controllers will respond. These we'll discuss. So thanks for watching.